Hey everybody, it's Kat and Bailey back with another episode of the Surgecast. Again, we'll be missing Zach for this episode, and unfortunately, he's still not feeling super well. So again, send him your get well wishes and everything, but you will still catch him over on Locked On, of course. But how you doing today, Bailey?
It's been a long day. I'm finally excited to be back in the warm. Went up to little ski town, Keystone, and high of 17 does not bode well for comfort. So definitely excited to be back in the warm. How are you?
I'm good. We've also had a brief warm stint here. This weekend with the back-to-back, it was actually beautiful. It was great weather for it. But honestly, I think most Canes fans are just happy to not be staying up for Canes After Dark anymore. Give me 7 o'clock, give me the 5 o'clock Sunday games. Of course, it's still not light outside, but at least you're not going to bed after midnight.
God, yeah, that I have mountain time privilege, so
I know.
I'm chilling.
I know,
But yeah, a lot to talk about. So you mentioned the back-to-back. Lots happened since we last talked.
lots happened. I almost want to just breeze by that Utah game. But our quick, I think the first thing we need to discuss is around the league, everyone has seemed to struggling with the injury bug. The Canes have been very fortunate. We've only really had Freddie on that for a little bit now. But through this last little stint, we've had our own Seth Jarvis was still out technically on IR right now. Though all of our team reporters and everything were very quick to reassure everybody that when he got put on IR, it was retroactive. He could come off any day now. Probably was put on IR just to open up some cap space because in that time we did need to call up Peretz. We'll talk about that as well. So it's not really, I don't think the Jarvis on IR is a big concern. Again, we speculated it's an upper body injury. We speculated it's probably his shoulder that he hurt last season that he didn't have any surgery or anything on. So that's probably, if it's given him a little bit of trouble, give the guy time to rest. I mean, you should be, you're grooving. You've had Tyson Jost up on the lineup. He's been performing well. So you don't really need to rush Jarvis back at this moment. You got a lot of games left.
I was going to say, and especially with you see two really kind of resounding wins coming off a back-to-back, heading into the week. You get 2 days of a break before you fly to Philly and take on the Broad Street Bullies and the New Jersey Devils in another back-to-back. But I don't see the Canes really struggling right now. I don't see them being in a situation where they need to rush Jarvis back or I know Kochetkov is officially back from his injury stuff. Didn't see a need to rush him back either because, while it's a little alarming to sit and see goaltender issues on the backside, it's I've preached it before. I will preach it again. A goaltender is only or usually as good as the team in front of him. And the team has played really, really well in front of both goaltenders, I think.
Well, I'm sure after that shutout when a lot of people are wondering how Spencer Martin cleared waivers, considering the goaltending issues around the league that nobody else claimed him because he had a pretty good season with us last season. So I think I'm not sure if he is usually a second string caliber goalie. I don't also know if he's really gotten that chance behind a really good team. But I would say, again, the Canes like to make goalies really reach their potential. So I'm really glad that he cleared waivers. I'm really glad we had him. I wasn't super concerned about Piotr when he did come out of the game with his injury. I honestly was thinking, I didn't even think they pulled him for injury. I thought they pulled him because he had that little bit of a bang up. And then the way the game was going, I think it was just a little bit like, hey, this game is chaotic. You've already been banged up. Let's just precautionary. There's no need to keep you in here.
Oh, yeah.
Especially again, when you're already down one of your normal goalies. So then seeing when he was out, I mean, even when they talked to him, it didn't seem like he was really like, he was like, he's like, normally I could be out there and skating and I want to be out skating. He's like, but I just needed a day or so of rest and I'm good. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was more precautionary. Again, everyone's a little bit worried, but he came back and he's been just as good as ever. The real story is we've got some news on Freddie that unfortunately is not good news. So with Freddie, he went out on his injury. Do you remember the game or the date?
I don't remember the game off the top of my head.
So he's gone out on his injury, but then we were told it was like day to day. So we're like, okay, Freddie struggled with injuries. Maybe he's a little banged up. Unfortunately, now as people continue to ask Rod, sometimes Rod's like, it's up to him. It's like, I'll let you know. Unfortunately, Rod's answers have been more of, he's got a long way to go. It's actually probably more week to week. And now there's the news of, hey, he might be requiring surgery. We will let them know. Oh yeah. He said, one of the quotes from Rod is, we were hoping it was going to be week to week, but now it's going to be way longer. Nobody wants to hear that. No. Nobody wants to hear that. Everyone wanted, listen, I wanted Piotr to have a good, like healthy, like him and Freddie. I'm not saying fully split the time, but like have that little bit of like, hey, I take this, you take that, because I still think he could benefit from that because he's been thrown in there in weird times. Like he got thrown in there a little longer with Ronta last season. And I still think he could really benefit from that kind of season. But ever since Freddie was injured in the Seattle game,
thank you, unpaid intern.
Yes. Hearing that now he's going to require surgery. I also defended, lots of people are like, of course, it's injury prone Freddie, yada, yada, yada. I have defended Freddie because if you look across the league, if you play any fantasy hockey, you can see goaltenders go day to day / injured all the time.
Goaltenders in general are just struggling this season too.
All across the league. So I was like, well, give him that benefit of the doubt. When I heard about the surgery thing, I'm starting to think this might be the end of the road for the Canes with Freddie, which is also, there's rumors now that we're shopping around looking at goalies. Because I feel like the Canes have worked with Freddie and they've pushed through these and they're like, we have seen what you're capable of. We really love to have you on the team. Like he works well with our system, all of that. But after a while, he's been more injured more than he's been playing for what we're paying him.
Yep.
And we were talking a little before this. If he doesn't get the surgery, but then you're like kind of seeing how it goes if he doesn't get the surgery, how long is he going to be out on injury? And then if he does get the surgery, he's just going to be out longer. So regardless, you're not seeing Freddie kind of anytime soon, it feels like. And I think the Canes have kind of run the course where like we need a more consistent goaltender. And it's nothing against his abilities. It's just like, why can't he stay healthy for us? Because he is a great goaltender when he's actually playing. But unfortunately, and like this is like the blood clotting issue from before is a whole other different topic. Like that was like
this is a brand new injury.
Yeah, this is a brand new injury. And the blood clotting, I think that's where the Canes were like, you can't control this. This popped up. Glad we caught it. Yada. Like, let's handle this. But now it's another injury, and it's like we need a more consistent duo of a goaltender. And so I'm thinking Freddie's time is up with the Canes. Unfortunately. What are your thoughts, Bales?
I am of the mindset that if Freddie is not 100%, we're not going to see him at all. And the thing is there's really like surgery is obviously a decision between Freddie, team doctor, figuring out the best course of action moving forward. I'm in the position where I agree. I see how this season plays out with Frederik Andersen, but On the flip side, to also play devil's advocate, I do sit there and look at the free agency market for goalies coming up next season, and it is tight. It is really, really thin. And especially with all of the struggles that are not just going on with the Hurricanes and with Frederik Andersen, but you look at across the league too, and all the other goalies that are struggling and all the other teams that are looking for replacements. And there's not a whole lot option wise to go from. I don't remember the top free agents for goalies off the top of my head, but again, it's not thin. And so they're going to be walking this fine line for, I think, a while where, okay, if he decides to have surgery, see how long it keeps him out, see how he plays from there. And if he can stay on his feet, maybe this is a conversation for the off season to sit there and say, hey, Pyotr Kochekhov's proven himself. He's proven that he's a capable netminder. He's proven he can hold himself steady behind the team. Obviously, we want to try to roll with this, but if you can stay healthy and prove to be a good addition to the team, I don't think it's a bad option for the Canes to hold on to him for a deal less than what he's taking right now. Which
I would say that I think my only concern is, yes, people around the league are struggling, and yes, the goaltenders are struggling. Yes, people are hanging on to whatever healthy part of a goaltender they have. My thing is do you risk keeping him injury prone back up so you could potentially have a decent goaltender if he's healthy, if he's there to help? Or do you stick with him and then you're down a goaltender and now you really don't have a chance to find someone? Whereas instead the Canes could be like, you know what, Peter will be our number one. And they can look for a goaltender. I don't know if he's available or anything, but you could look for a goaltender that's maybe not like an Ullmark or Swayman or any of those, but you look like for someone, which I know Zach was talking about for a while that he loved. But I mean, we saw his performance against us in Utah, a goalie that's like Veggie, where it's like, he's not your very big top goaltender, but behind the Canes, he could be.
Yeah. The thing for the Canes is this is not a system where you see a super, super, super clear starting goaltender. And so when Rod had made comments earlier in the season, like, I don't know if it's going to be an 80-20, like 60-40 kind of situation. Don't really know what we're looking at here. We don't really know. I guess we as fans, we haven't seen like a clear starting goaltender in. I can't even remember who our last official starter was, or who you'd even consider the last official. I go back to like the Cam Ward years, unfortunately, and like that's where I look at that. But you also look at Spencer Martin too, who in NHL world has always been the backup. The most games played that he has had in one season came in the 2022-23 season. He played 29 games.
He's gonna play more now.
Yeah. So I'm thinking with this Frederik Andersen incident, we're going to be seeing a lot more out of Spencer Martin. Because again, Rod Brind'Amour doesn't strike me as the kind of guy in this situation who's going to sit there and ride Pyotr Kochetkov until he breaks. This is going to be a situation, and a lot of coaches are starting to think this way in the league as well. You play the guy who's going to win you the game. And I've always been of the mindset too that hot goaltenders are not necessarily something I ride in the regular season. Hot goaltenders are great during playoffs because you've got that momentum, you've got that energy that comes winning game after game after game. And you ride that, and it either works or it doesn't. I don't see that being a situation that they ride with in the regular season. So they're going to play the goaltender that is rested and ready and best suited to win the game for them. And that's just kind of how I see that playing out. So as much as it does suck, if Frederick Anderson was slated to come back and now it's week to week and now it's way longer, I don't see him making a really clear-cut return to the Hurricanes, at least not in a capacity where that spot's going to be sitting and waiting for him when he returns,
Yeah.
So.
I agree. So we'll just have to play it by ear right now. I mean, of course, this news breaks while we're on the tail end of the season going to the end of the year. So I mean, again, we'll just have to see how it goes if more news comes out. But in the meantime, fans should just be really excited. Piotr's playing well. Martin is proving to be a great backup for him. With Jarvis, yes, he was seen on the ice in the yellow no contact. Rod did say it's very, very doubtful he'll play tomorrow against the game against Philadelphia. I don't know if we're releasing this tonight or tomorrow. But play against Philadelphia, which I don't blame him, because last time we played Philadelphia is a very physical, very all on top of you team. Don't give that to Jarvis. Let Jarvis rest. That's not his
if you're
problem.
Gonna start him against a team, let it not be the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah. So So and then they said they don't even know if he'll travel or not. They want to see how he felt about the skate.
Perfect. Fine.
So I'm all for that. So for right now, we've got Jarvis out and we've got Freddie out. And the team is just keeps on rolling. So that's our injuries. Like, again, we caught a little bit of the injury bug. It's going around the league. It's not just the Canes. Don't worry. The Canes have they prepared for it. We're rolling just fine as it is. Unfortunately, we do have to touch on the Utah game. And I do know you guys can all yell at me or whatever and say this is the game they should win, the game that should be easy win. But yes,
no such thing as an easy win.
No, especially when you said we came across a really hot goaltender. Like, the Canes were not playing super well, but their shots were actually high danger shots. They actually had some pretty good shots. I don't really want to talk about the power play and the amount of penalty minutes, all that stuff, but we lost to Utah. Veggie made a career high 49 saves and killed a 7-minute power play to hold on to the lead in the third. I just think it was just a weird game for us.
Yeah.
We don't do good in high altitudes. We just don't. You get them shooting a goal where it clearly wasn't a goal, but everyone there thought it was a goal. It makes it a really
They're
weird.
learning hockey. Leave them alone.
I know, I'm just saying, like, again, it's like weird events. Like, you get like Piotr getting a little dinged up, then you get, the first goal is like the weirdest bounce. And then you get Piotr getting dinged up, and then they get that they say it's a goal, it's not, or they think it's a goal, it's not a goal. And everyone's like confused. And then they score another goal. And it's just like, what is happening in this game? And then you get 1,000 minutes of power play minutes against a goaltender that said, okay, no, this is my game. And it's just like, meanwhile, I'm sure every Canes fan was up late. Like, why did I stay awake right now? Because this has to be a fever dream. Like, it just has to be. So, I don't think they played super bad. I think that game was just wild, just like the Colorado game. High altitudes apparently make our whole team like loopy, and all of the odds go against us. I don't know what's going on. But what's more fun is the next two games. The Canes said, bet we're actually going to score. We had the back-to-back against the Senators and the Blues. This is when everyone gets a little worried. Piotr is out. And you get to see Spencer Martin finally get the start. We've been asking, when is he going to get the start?
Well, I mean, we saw the start against Colorado, and
he didn't start that game. Did he?
Yes.
Oh,
Spencer Martin
you're right.
start. Yes, he did. And he had a great first period against Colorado, as a lot of us remember. The second period wasn't so great. So I think this was a really nice kind of revenge game
Oh,
for
poor Martin.
Spencer
He
Martin.
got thrown into both the high altitude, he got both high altitude games, really. But
Yeah. So this, I think, was a nice kind of like revenge situation. Like, okay, team's relying on me, gotta show up somehow, some way. And I think the team in front of him realized that too, and realized, you know, losing games like that, dropping games like that in a situation where, you know, maybe the odds are a little more in your favor. It does a lot to an ego boost or an ego drop or
he also
confidence and
he
whatnot.
came in for Piotr in the Utah game and he played well, and they still didn't deliver in front of him. So I think you
can't blame that on Spencer.
No, they owed Martin a good game though. They owed him
one. And so that's kind of what I feel like Ottawa was. And so, or was it Ottawa that and you know, revenge game incoming, 4-0 shutout, which well deserved. I don't remember the oh gosh, what was it? The saves.
His amount of saves.
Yeah,
24 saves.
He
24.
faced 24 shots. 24 saves on 24 shots. To Carolina's 28.
First career shutout. Career shutout. You could see his confidence grow. The flipping the puck back at Brady Tkachuk. Amazing.
Which you gotta think he's getting a little bit of that fire from Piotr too. It seems Tkachuk's got something with Kane's goalies or something.
Well, yeah, but he also had that fire when they played the Blackhawks last season. Okay. He was also sassy with Bedard. Our unpaid intern very much remembers that. But yeah, I think he has a little bit of the sass, and I think he has the confidence. We've had kind of some quieter backups before. I think Martin really has the confidence to be like, if you guys need me, I am here, and I'm going to do everything I can to win you this game.
Which, you know, when you have a team that's playing as lights out as the Canes were playing in front of him too, it's not hard to have that confidence. It's not hard to feel good about defending the crease. And at the end of that game, like, you're just glowing at the end of it. You're like, yeah, guys, it not only, you know, this is a monumental moment for me, but like, you guys.
Well, it's because the team in front of you is playing so well that you know if a shot gets through them or if a play gets through them, it's probably going to be a pretty good play. And you need to be on your game and play as well as you can to stop that. So I do think it's a level of confidence where it's be like, all right, you guys have taken care of this. This is my responsibility. I take care of it. Like, I loved seeing it. To start the game with Martinuk's crazy angle goal that would only be like, it was like kind of reminiscent.
It's only a goal Martinuk would score.
Yeah. So that was wild because everyone was like, how did that go in? You get a little bit excited because you get a power play goal from Aho. I still need to see some more 5-on-5, but I will say in the game against...
I was going to say, can we talk about this for a little bit, actually? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let me... You get a Blake power play goal and you get a Carey empty netter, which is funny because he actually just like walked the whole puck into the net, which is like so petty. I love it. But yes, we can talk about Aho. I said the keys to the next couple of games, I think like a week or two ago, is that he needed to stand out and start shooting. We get a power play goal from him, a 5-on-3 power play goal from him. I saw him in the game against the Blues. I saw him take some more normal Aho shots. But he, from what I am seeing, is in a pass-first mentality, which is wildly uncharacteristic of him.
You know, what it reminds me a lot of is Teuvo Teravainen. And I might have said this last podcast, but I will mention it again too. It almost kind of seemed like Teuvo Teravainen left and we kind of lost the Sebastian Aho that we knew, which he's characteristic to slow starts. Like
Mhm.
we as fans all know that. Like it's not hard to like look at stats from earlier seasons and see that. But it's still like we're how many games into the season now, and he's still.
It's also a different slow start. So a slow
Mhm.
start for him before would maybe be like he's firing, but it's just missing, or it's just hitting off the post, or the keeper keeps saving him.
He's
It
getting
seems like
really unlucky.
it
Yeah.
seems like he's not even getting shots off. There are games where he's going without shots. And the whole team is playing super well. And you
Mhm.
have Nature's doing everything right. You have, but and that whole line is like booming. The third line is again must be the most annoying not line to play against because it's just like you're getting bodied the whole time you're with the puck.
Yeah.
You have a fourth line who's like you're this fourth line. It must be easy. No, you have the defense of Jack Drury, and you have Blake who's got his skill and is like he's going to put away the puck if you leave it open to him.
Mhm.
And even again, Tyson Jones was a pest. So you have all these lines performing, and you get Svetch like every now and then empty net goal, power play goal. Like he's like on and off. Like he's a little. I would say he's like lukewarm. Could be catching a little bit more heat. You had Rozovic who was on fire, and then you're leaving Aho, and it's again. I know we touched on it last time. I feel like his place on his line is different this year because he doesn't have a support of someone like Teuvo Teravainen. You don't Roslovic is not making the Teuvo Teravainen passes to him. Svetch is not going to make those Teuvo Teravainen passes to him.
No.
And him and Teuvo they've not always been on the same line, but I would say it would almost be interesting is when Jarvis comes back, why don't we try putting him up there with Aho? Because I would like to see if Jarvis could get him going.
Yeah.
Because Jarvis has played really well with Aho, and he does a lot of the work, but then gets the passes through. And I think that would be interesting. It's not anything against Roslovic and Svetch. I just don't know if their type of play is going to assist how Aho plays. I think Aho has fallen into a support role of being like a Teuvo Teravainen to those two, and that's not the Aho we know, and that's not the Aho we know that thrives.
No, and I think the biggest, like we've alluded to this in the conversation, the biggest issue for Aho right now is chemistry. I think. I think he has good chemistry with his line mates. I don't think the style of plays and you look at hut teams and things like that on like the NHL EA games and synergy and things of that sort, and I don't think it lines up at all. You need a guy who, maybe looks for that pass first, who's looking for like who's not geared towards scoring. We have said over and over and over again that Aho is our superstar. This is the guy who is slated to, be in the rafters one day. I am 100% certain we are going to see number 20 in the rafters at Lenovo Center at some point in the future. But he's not going to get there playing like this. And I don't think it's entirely his fault.
No,
but
I'm gonna give him a whole bunch of grace because I feel like, not to cut you off, I do feel like he's a little bit lost right now because you've taken away someone he's played with for years. Their chemistry was undeniable, and he knew his role was when he played, when the two of them played together. And now he's on a line with two guys, one guy very new and a very different play style. And you've got Necas heating up. And I'm not saying this in a bad way at all. Necas has all the spotlight. He's doing everything right. And I think Aho just feels a little bit lost because it's not like how easy is it going to be to change those lines when that second line is on fire and the other two are going well. And you're like, it's just me. I'm the one struggling.
Teuvo Teravainen was one of those kind of silent snipers. I don't know what else to call him, but you didn't see him on the ice until you saw him on the ice. You see him grab the puck, and sometimes he'll snipe it. He's got the no look pass, the tic-tac-toes that he'd get with anybody and everybody on that line. And now you've got two guys who, one of which is having a career season for himself. who it looks to be in a very shoot first mentality. You've got another guy on his other side who is either a shoot first or a hit first mentality. Unfortunately, which, I take that back. Not unfortunately, because everybody has their style of play and that's how Svetch works.
Mm-hmm.
But that silent sleeper is really what is killing Aho right now, because you need a guy who's going to sit there and show up and make that no look pass, who knows where Aho's going to be.
And you can kind of look at, if you want to look at the second line, Necas is playing so well, and his defense and his confidence are the way.
We'll get there.
But you also have to credit the way his line mates play with him is spectacular. KK is doing what Tavo would do for Aho. KK is setting up the passes. He's getting in there. He's making sure he's ready. He's getting everything he can to Necas, and he's setting up the plays, which is what Tavo would do a lot for Aho. And you've also got Robinson, who's a big body on there, but he's doing the same thing. And those two are they have their style of play, but they're very, I would compare the first line. If I had to compare it to something, there's a lot of teams that are struggling right now, that it's almost like they have too much star power that they get in their own way. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a little bit with our first line, is you have loads of talent on that line. Mm-hmm. Do I think all of that talent goes well together? I don't think so. Or I think the second line is more of an example of talent working well together, and each of your individual things you contribute works well together. I don't think the first line is doing that as well. But that's the thing. That's the hard part, is how do you switch it up to change it? Because you don't want to mess up chemistry of somewhere else for this. Yep. So I think it's just something unique. Again, I would love to see what would happen if maybe you put Jarvis on that line with Aho and Svetch, or even Roslovic. I don't think Svetch is going to come down, but I could see you changing up something with Roslovic and maybe put Jarvis up there and see what he does with Aho.
Jarvis just needs to be healthy. Mm-hmm. And you look at last season, and he wasn't 100% healthy last season. He popped off. He did his job. He did what he needed to do. You don't want to get into a situation where Seth Jarvis is the new it guy for injuries. And so I want to see Jarvis on that line. Absolutely 100%. I want to see it when he is fully recovered.
Ideally. And this isn't, so Roslovic has slowed down a little bit. Mm-hmm. He slowed down a little bit. He was on this big heater. He slowed down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Ideally, what I personally would love to see is when they come back, you put Jarvis up there with Aho and Svetch. See what, if you can get, you need those two superstars going. Svetch has got a little bit, Aho's floundering. You got to get them going, though. We've talked about it. You need them in the big moments. You got to get them going. Second line, leave it alone. I say you also leave that third line alone, and you leave Carey up there, because that line is a menace. The three of them together, I know Jarvis goes well with them, but the three of them together is a menace. They are all over you. They're smothering. Carey has added what Jarvis did of those little bit of passes, that getting the pucks to the net, the shooting. Great. I wouldn't be mad, because again, with how Jury is playing and how Blake is playing, they're getting minutes. Put Roslovic down there and see what he does with them. They've both shown that they can get pucks to each other, and adding him to there, see what happens. Yeah. And then again, it's not anything against Roslovic, but put him down there, and then you'll have all of your lines set, and see if you can get that first line going. I'm not Rod. I don't know if he'll ever do this.
We're playing couch GM right now.
I would love to see it. Just see if it works. Give me that second to see if it works. But yeah. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I was gonna say we might want to start getting
moving on. We'll talk about that St. Louis win of a 4-1. Had to feel really good for the guys, because that's their one loss on that road trip at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm. Which is the game, if I remember correctly.
Weird game.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The Canes had a fantastic start, and then things just kind of start to fall apart for them. This was a redemption game.
And you got a little nervous at first, because we did go down first, and you're like, oh no, here we go again with this team, because we didn't start well the first period against the Blues. We started, you could tell we were on a back-to-back. We were slow, and the Blues were all over us.
And the last thing you need in a back-to-back is to get a sloppy start. Like that's
So
one momentum killer.
thank goodness we picked it up towards the end and we were able to, with one of our chances on a power play, get Svech a goal. And that you could tell, as it's done to us many times before, killed the Blues momentum completely. The Canes then were able to go to a break. They got rest, they regrouped, and they came back and they're like, all right, this is our game now. We've showed that we can weather through our worst amount of play, and now we're going to play super well, and you're not going to catch back up to us. And then to have, again, you have that second line, Robinson, and then 2 Necas goals, a 4-point night for Martin Necas. Beautiful. Like, Piotr had some great stops, but you weren't even worried about him. I mean, everyone was like, okay, great, he's back in goal. But he did not have to do, like, he was good. But the Canes took care of things to the point where it was like, don't worry. We got you.
Yeah. No, it's great. And we touch on, superstar talent and players showing up big too. This was a huge night for Martin Necas. 4-point night and 2 goals, 2 assists. I mean, it doesn't really get any better than that for a guy who's having, talk about another potentially career start.
Well, one of his goals, he literally just turned around, and I don't even there's power behind it, but he literally just flipped it at the goal. Like, it wasn't a super hard shot, and it just went, and you're like, that is a guy who has all of the puck luck and all of the confidence right now.
Which barks the question, and I've seen this a lot on social media, and I know I have my thoughts. Don't know if we want to get into this before or after the ad break, but
we can talk about it now.
Yeah. Martin Necas is in talks for an MVP trophy at the end of the season. He currently sits at 3rd in points, only behind Nathan MacKinnon and Kirill Kaprizov. 5th in assists, tied for 8th in goals, which in a score first league, like we're kind of seeing right now too, is an insane stat margin for Martin Necas. He's, if I remember correctly, the only Kane up there on that stat board. I'm sitting here and looking through and not seeing any other Canes within the top 30 for points. Looking at assists, still nothing. So also, he's topping the charts.
Also, for anyone that's curious about the Hart Trophy, again, we don't talk about this a whole lot with the Canes. These are the winners from 2020. 2020, Leon Draisaitl. 2021, Connor McDavid. 2022, Austin Matthews. 2023, Connor McDavid. 2024, Nathan MacKinnon. These are the superstars around the league. That's who win this. That's who wins these trophies.
And so to sit here and include Martin Necas in this conversation, he may not be the clear-cut winner by any means, because it's
we've got a long season to go. We've only just started.
Yeah, but that is not bad company.
No,
at all.
No.
So I will pose this to you, Kat. Do you think there's a chance he walks off that stage with that trophy?
If he keeps up the rate of play that he's in right now, I think they have to recognize him. Do I think he'll be able to beat out those other players? I think you also have to, I don't know. I think it depends if he keeps up his, I would say yes, but if he keeps up the pace and how he's playing now, and I think it's also going to determine how the Canes do the season. Because if you're going against someone like Connor McDavid, who is consistently in the talks, like he's either winner or like number 1 runner up all the time.
Yep.
If you're going against 10 and the Oilers are playing the way the Oilers are playing, and then the Canes play super well and finish the season and maybe even win it all. if you were comparing the two, you have to give it to Necas, because I don't see a part where you give that award to someone whose team struggles and is down like this compared to someone who has helped their team to a higher place. So I would say yes, but it's a long season, and we've seen Connor McDavid is a consistent performer even when his team sucks eggs. Mm-hmm. So we have to see how the rest of the season goes. Again, we've seen spurts from Necas, so this is what everyone's wanted. Mm-hmm. I just need him to regain it and like keep it going. So I'd say yes, but it's conditional.
And you know, while we're bringing up Connor McDavid too, we're
also our unpaid intern said Necas is on pace for 145 points this season.
Segue perfectly into we're sitting here comparing Martin Necas, a guy who a lot of Canes fans have been super unsure about in the last couple of years.
Us included.
Like,
if you ever want to look back and see last season, I don't
know
why
receipts.
Please pull listen to episodes of me just ranting about Necas underperforming.
Oh my God, absolutely. And so you're sitting here comparing a guy who Canes fans have been so unsure about the past couple of seasons. He gets a 2-year prove it deal. Proving the hell out of it. Let's to be completely blunt about it. Sitting here comparing this guy to a guy who is on pace to hit 1,000 points this season. That is what blows my mind. I will sit here and while we're being blunt, with the way that other players are playing, I think it's great that Martin Necas is in the conversation. I don't think he walks off that stage with the trophy. I would love to eat my words at the end of the season and be wrong about this. But there are other guys that are having better seasons. To sit there and call Necas a finalist, if he keeps this up, I could see him being a finalist, and I think that's a feat in and of itself. Check that off the list, move on. But to sit there and say that you were part of the conversation with guys like Connor McDavid, like Nathan McKinnon, like Leon Draisaitl, like Austin Matthews is frankly, the Canes fans haven't really seen anything like this.
I would say
it's uncharted territory.
As we talk about receipts, I will say, for as much as I was critical of Martin Necas in the past, and as much as I was, one of my resounding things was this man needs to play defense. He needs to play defense. Rod you'll get his trust. What is he doing this year? And he's doing phenomenally, playing defense, and it's rounded out his game. He's keeping the puck. He's still doing all his crazy little twirls and tricks, but he's keeping the puck. And if he loses it, he's right back to get it.
Oh my gosh.
His
hustle.
Defense has just increased significantly, which is if going blonde makes you do more defensive things, go blonde.
It's chemicals to the head. I don't know. No, that hustle has been a huge improvement to his game. I think there's something to be said about getting knocked off the puck and immediately going on the back check. You don't really see him doing that. He's immediately chasing after pucks.
Which I want a reporter. I want someone. I don't know if I've seen someone ask him about his increased defense, like if he did anything different in the offseason, and I really want to know if he did any sort of particular focus on that. Because I'm not kidding. It's so good. Like this is Rod Brind'Amour, what I want from you in defense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think we're seeing I don't want to be as dramatic as to call it a rebirth, because I feel like that's a little far-fetched, but it's definitely like a new side to Martin Necas. We've seen this confidence building up.
I think it's more than a rebirth. It's a living up to potential.
Oh, absolutely. And so that kind of goes into my point too. We've seen this confidence building and building and building over the years. He's tried a lot of the things that are finally starting to work for him. We see him trying these dipsy doodle moves to enter the zone, to get around players in the O zone. And a lot of times it's him not having a good enough handle on the pucks. It's knocked away from him, and he's having to rush on the back check when it's already beating him back to the D zone. We're finally seeing him be able to hold on to the puck, with that same confidence. He's dipsy doodling. He's doing what he needs to do, moving and stick handling like a pro.
I've actually seen someone, the puck gets lost somewhere in our end, and I'm like, or somewhere, and I'm like, oh no, they lost the handle. And I actually see, I'm like, well, who's going to get it back? And I actually see Nate just jar in and grab the puck and regain control and reset it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to see Nate just calm down the play and reset the play motion, that's amazing. That was never what he would do. I would be like, Nate, just get back in the play. And to see that him take charge and be like, I got this. We're back.
It's a show of leadership. It's a show of growth, most importantly. And that's what's going to make him so dangerous once this contract's finally up to, if he can hold on to this consistency. And I know you and I talk about consistency a lot, especially where Martin Necas is concerned. And I think, as we start talking about, potential Hart finalist, we start moving into the playoffs and seeing how that works, because he is notorious for going quiet in the postseason. I would love to see him continue this as we move forward. And even if he's maybe not holding on to this same progress, he's at least producing. I want to see him produce. I want to see him hold on to that confidence. I want to see him hold on to that aggression and that checking ability, and the ability to see plays developing on the ice, seeing when things are getting out of hand and being able to slow that down. I want that to continue, because that's only going to make his game better.
Yep. 100%. We could sit here and talk about this forever, honestly. But we do have to have a quick break for our sponsors. Again, it's that wonderful time of year. Take advantage of all the deals you can, especially the ones from our sponsors. Get some amazing Sebastian Aho deals. But yeah, check them out.
The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
All right, Zach, I don't know about you, but Black Friday, it's November. Black Friday sales are coming up, and I'm kind of excited about them. A lot of businesses, they do them either closer to Black Friday or throughout the month. And when you get that deal that you're like, oh, this thing definitely won't go on sale. But then it does, and it's a super good, and it's the one thing you were waiting on all year. Or it's they had a sale earlier in the year, and then you're like, oh, I missed it. And they put it back on sale for Black Friday. You're like, now's the time to grab it.
Right.
What's even better? With Raycon, because with Raycon, you get amazing deals on premium audio every day of the year. But that doesn't mean they're not having any Black Friday sales. Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on the amazing value by offering our viewers up to 30% worldwide. So it's not even a Sebastian Aho deal. We got a Cam Ward deal out there.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes Hall of Famer Cam Ward, I mean, you have to make that deal even more special. So.
I mean, yeah, it's a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal that you'll appreciate every day, just like we appreciated Cam Ward every time he was in our net. Raycon's everyday earbuds, especially if you've checked out their latest model, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. For example, now they feature a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once, which I kind of love. I'm definitely one of those people when I go out for my errands to when I go shopping in the grocery store, and sometimes I just really just want to focus. I put my earbuds in and I'm like, nobody talk to me. Let me get to this list, especially if I'm on a time crunch.
Right.
And being able, so that battery life is super nice that you don't have to charge them every day. You can just use them, and then eventually 32 hours. I mean, that lasts longer than you think.
It does, yeah, especially if you just put them in their charger and just let them sit for a bit. Yeah, they last a good bit. You can go for about almost 4 or 5 days, even if you don't use them. They still have life. So yeah, that's pretty solid.
But also with that shopping in the grocery store, I not just listening to music, but also tuning out outside noise. The Raycon's everyday earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that's a must-have for me. Whether it's grocery shopping, on trips, like if you're in the car and people up front are like your backseat princess. Sorry, maybe backseat king for you, but people are talking or they're listening to something you don't want to. You could just turn those on and listen to whatever else you want, or get some sleep because you have some audiobook or a podcast or even us keeping you company in the long car ride. So because that's another thing, although Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycon starts at just half the price of the other guys. So they're already at an incredible deal, even before you factor in their Black Friday and Cyber Monday offer of up to 30% off site-wide. Again, I'm just going to say that's a great deal, whether it's for like everybody can use some new headphones come around the time of the year, whether they've lost ones that they have or they just start to like, they don't work as well.
Old. Yeah, they're old. Yeah, you just need something. You need a new pair. So Kat, what's the discount that we can use if we have to go buy some? Like, what's the code?
What's the code? Oh yeah, it's time to save big for the Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right, you get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN.
I mean, hey, you can't go wrong with using a little network deal. And, big shout out to our guys for doing that. So, hey, if you need some cool headphones, use that Camward discount, guys. THPN.
Yep. Now's the perfect time to scoop them up if you haven't already. And don't worry, if you're not as impressed as we are, the Raycons offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you can't really lose. Go snag that Camward discount again at buyraycon.com/THPN.
Hockey is back. From the sounds of the board slamming to the eruption of a game-tying or game-winning goal, there's nothing quite like experiencing hockey in person. At Gametime, you can get in on the action for hockey, other sport events, concerts, and shows. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play and your favorite shows live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Looking ahead, when the Rangers come to town on November 27th to the Lenovo Center, you'd expect the ticket prices to be through the roof, considering fans from Cary might make their way over, but that's not the case with Gametime. The super deal available right now, Section 109, Row G, just $155. Amazing deals like Section 309 for $51. Available on Gametime. And Gametime Picks makes it easier for you to find deals on sports, concert shows that you want to get to. Even last call deals for even better savings. I love that idea of the last call feature that, if you just want to spontaneously go to a show, a sporting event last second, you still find great deals. Plus, when you buy, get the view of your seat so you don't even have to question the sight line that you'll have. So Gametime Picks, again, just makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more by curating your experience. All-in pricing, if you toggle this on, that feature shows you the total up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Gametime to get today. What time is it? Gametime. Our OG sponsor, Primo X Hockey. Whether it's apparel, bags, goalie gear, jerseys, you name it, Primo X. Yeah, even a couple of buckets for you. Primo X Hockey has it for you. They are located here in Raleigh, 1401 Diggs Drive, Suite E. Monday through Friday, they're open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Even have availability and times open on the weekend from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday and 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. So for local pickup, save 20% with code in-store pickup online. How about that deal? Also use code SearchCast for 20% off your Sebastian Aho deals as well. So Even skate sharpening, $5. How about that deal? Primo X Hockey. They have all the hockey gear to get you right for the season.
And we're back. Welcome, all ad skippers.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We do need to discuss two very great things to see. First, recognition. Kane's stat brand always on point. But talking about since October 24th, Pyotr Kochetkov leads the NHL in wins with 8-1, 0.912 save percentage, 2.28 goals allowed, and 2.07 goals saved. His stats are insane.
Mhm.
Absolutely insane. I love the picture too. It's like him spitting water. Pyotr is fully showing he can be what we need him to be.
Mhm.
Are you talking about that someone said that's a bad picture and he sent another picture of him spitting water?
I'm just thinking about feisty Pyotr who almost hit Ryan Henkel in the head practice today.
I just love that everyone, like, every now and then I just see the picture of him against Marchand pop up on my feed.
That's a timeline cleanse if I ever saw one.
Of another thing we do need to recognize is the Canes getting recognition from ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
As Canes fans, we know this isn't a common occurrence. So when we get it, we got to revel in it. All right.
Absolutely.
The Hurricanes are getting major respect. Evan Abramson broke this about ESPN's article. We are ranked number 1 and considered the most dangerous team in the NHL for the next 3 seasons. The Rangers are number 2. And the reason that we are ranked number 1 is they are taking into account guys like Nikishin and Nadeau.
I really love the excerpt, and I'm sitting here reading through what was said about the Hurricanes. I really love this cause for concern thing that was put in by Clark. Fair or unfair, the largest and only concern facing the Hurricanes is if they can win the Stanley Cup. They've built a farm system. They've acquired draft capital to get as many picks as possible to build that system. They've developed a farm to table approach that has created a pipeline. They've spent money in free agency. They even have what's thought to be one of the best coaching / GM / ownership setups, which we as fans, we could have told you that, but okay. But what they don't have is a Stanley Cup, and that's the standard through which this iteration of the franchise will be judged. I don't think there's more hitting the nail on the head than that.
Because at first, when I first read it, they said they don't have a Stanley Cup, and I was ready to throw hands. And then he said, which this iteration of the franchise will be judged. Rod Brind'Amour consistently in the playoffs, consistently leading the division, is going to continue to be judged without that Stanley Cup.
They're doing everything right. That hump has been so difficult for this team for the past 2-3 years to sit and get over, which we've seen. Like we talk about like this new era of Hurricanes hockey that came with Rod Brind'Amour and making the playoffs, and it's been really fun watching them become as successful as they are. We've seen arguably the best Hurricanes hockey since 2006 in the past 2 to 3 years. Each of these 2 or 3 years where we've had, we've gotten to the Eastern Conference Final, we get bounced by the Rangers in round 2. It's not that we've had horrible teams. We have what it takes. And I need to get out of the habit of saying the Hurricanes have what it takes to sit there and get over that hump and to do the dang thing. But there's a hump. There's a mental blockage there.
It's you do everything right in the regular season. You have all the pieces at play, and then you get to the playoffs, and you're that first round, you're feeling good. And the Canes have consistently, it's like there's always one little thing. It's whether the goalie for the other team gets hot. It's we get an injury at the end of the season, and that derails us. Or it's the mental block, which I don't know if they have that much anymore. I think they've just been unlucky with they've faced teams that have just played better at times.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like you said, you can be so great in the regular season, come playoffs, if you can't get that last push, then you don't know.
Everybody says it. Playoffs are a completely different beast when it comes to the regular season. I mean, perfect example while we're talking about current events. The Boston Bruins, who broke the win record a couple of years ago, get bounced in the first round. You see an incredible regular season Boston Bruins team that can't put anything together during playoffs.
And speaking of the Boston Bruins, recent news of theirs also speaks actually high news of the Canes. They're struggling this season, and so they've recently let go of their head coach. But another issue for the Boston Bruins, they're lacking in their depth of their prospects, and their like the reason that we got ranked so high. It's not just Brind'Amour. Everyone knows how great Brind'Amour is.
Mm-hmm.
This article is singing the praises of what Tulsky and them have done in the long run. They're talking about Nikishin. They're talking about Blake. They're talking about Nadeau. It's really funny. They talk about Nadeau way more than they talk about Blake. So I'm like, did you guys think Nadeau was going to make it over Blake? What were we thinking?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people thought Nadeau was going to.
And then they're talking about Ungerstorm and all this. And you can, like, the Canes have set up a prospect pool so well. And like with Morrow and all of them, that like, we have set it up so that we have the prospect and the draft capital and all of this. We know how to draft. We know how to use these to get guys that maybe the people are like, is that really the guy that like you could have gone for this big player here and you went for this guy and you used maybe this little bit of draft capital that not as consequential to the Canes because we've drafted so well already that the Canes are like, nope, we know this guy's going to fit our system and it's great. And you didn't have to spend a whole hand and a half on him. And it just sings praises for that because you see teams now where a lot of their guys are aging out. A lot of the superstars are starting to see their age and they don't have young guys to come in. Nobody at the caliber, at least, to come in. I mean, I saw someone they were talking about with the Bruins. The Bruins had 3 picks before in the Sebastian Aho draft in the 2015. And again, this is back in 2015. But if you look at that, the Bruins don't have any of those 3 guys that they grabbed them. They're 3 in a row. They don't have any of them left. And now there's other teams that have like Aho, Kaprizov, like that draft, and they're like major franchise players. And so to look back and see that this team where the Bruins were like a standard. They were way up there. They played so well. And now you can kind of see they haven't set themselves up for success in the long run while the Canes continue to do that. And I think that's why Canes fans are so, at least for us, is yes, we really, really want the cup. But if you really look at how this team is set up, even though you don't get the cup in a year that you're like, this was our year, you're not fully hitting the ground in sobs like, this is the end of the road. We're down to the dumps. Like even this season where everyone was like, we don't know what's going to happen. It's a bigger revamp than we've had in a while. The Canes are like, don't worry. We knew this was going to come for a little bit. And we had all of this stuff backed up and we were ready to go with it. So we're seeing
a team led by Eric Tulsky, who's been working in the background for years, who has been the brain behind a lot of this farm system for the Hurricanes. There's always
that man makes me want to learn Excel spreadsheets more.
Makes me want to go and find myself 50 things to patent at this point. Like I swear, but like you're looking at a team that is primarily built by the likes of Don Waddell and Eric Tulsky. Now you're seeing Eric Tulsky at the helm, and a lot of reporters and people in the past year or two have talked about this year being the year that the Canes window closes, without realizing how resilient and how deep and how gritty this team can actually be. And I think it was the downfall of a lot of predictions and things of that sort. And the only people who were really confident in, performance and things like that were Canes fans. And even then, you saw Canes fans kind of fall short on this team. So I think it's an incredible testament of, again, that grit, that willpower, that want, that drive to be the best that we've seen the past 2 and 3 years. You see this being carried on into this team. It's nothing short of incredible.
So I do encourage everyone to continue reading this article, because it is also standing to our point. If you continue reading the article, it just more of this stands out. So after the Canes is the Rangers. And so, as Bailey talked about, their cause for concern is they have a lot of contracts that they're going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And so keeping all these moving parts while making sure they remain front runners is a lot of what the Canes did this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have, they might lack a little bit of depth, but they also still have some good prospects on the Rangers. And so that's where they are a little bit under us. Then you've got the Dallas Stars coming in third. They've built their team through the draft, which is why, but they have to navigate the salary cap and, winning this cup. They're another team that seems to be plagued with, like, they can go so far and then they're stuck. Then you've got the Minnesota Wild coming in fourth and the Florida Panthers coming in fifth.
I just want to sit and highlight the 1 and 2 teams being Metro teams. Just goes to show how much, and as you guys know, this is a Carolina Hurricanes podcast, shocker.
Yeah.
But it's really going to be a testament of that strength of being able to kind of find the proper mindset, because I can guarantee you the New York Rangers have that mindset. They pushed and pushed and pushed until they couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
They've got an incredible team, and as much as we can sit and dislike the Rangers all we want, can't sit and deny they have an incredibly talented team backed by an incredible goaltender. So it's gonna be a push. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be, I love seeing the rivalry between these two teams, because it is really a show of the best. And systems that, maybe can be a little predictable, but also have amazing talent mixed with amazing chemistry and amazing coaches who got them to that point. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to talk. We still have got a week out from seeing the Rangers for the first time this season. But we do have some Metro contenders coming up this week with our little mini road trip. We've got Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Columbus. Philadelphia and New Jersey will be back-to-back Wednesday and Thursday. And then you've got a little break, and then you've got the Blue Jackets. We've got, I believe, Philadelphia is in 6th place, New Jersey is in 3rd, and the Blue Jackets are in 8th in our division. Of those teams, we'll give our little bit of a predictions. I think
we start with the back-to-back, obviously.
Start with the back-to-back. I think Philadelphia is going to be kind of like how it was with the Blues. I think the guys are going to want to show out better than they did the first time around. And I think they understand how Philadelphia is going to play against them now, and they've got to adjust to it. I'm going to say that one's a win. I'm going to say they show out and come back stronger, just like they did with the Blues.
So we're starting with Philadelphia. I am going to take it a step further, go kind of into both.
Okay.
I think we scrape by Philadelphia. I think we drop New Jersey. Philadelphia has been a team that the Canes are notorious for struggling against, regardless of the talent, regardless of where they stand in the standings, regardless of what they kind of look like that year. The Canes have always struggled against this team, and rightfully so. It's a physical team. They're hard hitting. They smother the freaking D zone like nobody's business. And they're not afraid to get in your way. Blocked shots have been the name of their game this season. And that's going to be the one thing that I think the Canes are going to struggle with, is finding those shooting lanes and getting things done. I think it's a scrape by win. New Jersey, we're talking about another big metro rival. We talked at the beginning of the season about how the Hurricanes, the Rangers, and the Devils were going to be all fighting for their 1, 2, 3 spots. And this New Jersey team, they're sitting in third in the Metro currently. Want to see what they're doing with the league, which I just had pulled up. They're currently fourth in the league, right behind us. And so I think we're going to be, after dropping a 4-2 game to them back in October, this is going to be a team that's going to be coming out swinging. And while the Hurricane, I think Philadelphia is going to beat this Hurricanes team up enough to where they may lose some of their stamina going into New Jersey.
I will say also, as a reminder, that the Flyers game will be at 7:30 game, not 7 o'clock, but a 7:30 game, and you'll be able to watch it on Max or TNT. Just FYI, that was a change that I want to make sure everyone knew when they were watching it, and know how to watch it. I agree. I think the back-to-back, I think will come out. If we come out tired against New Jersey, I think we will lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
I do think these few extra days of rest, I think the guys will have a little bit more in it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it maybe depends how we play against Philadelphia, but I did say we win against Philadelphia. I'm going to say it's a win against New Jersey, because I do think we know how to play them. We've played them already this season, even when we weren't really at our full strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, granted, they probably weren't super at their full strength either, because I think they had some injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we still get that win. If we start on time, I think we get that win. I don't know if we can fall behind like we did for a second against the Blues, with them. But
because they're a team, like, once they score, there's it, like, if you lose any sort of momentum, they pick that up and they hit the ground running.
So I think that's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna say it's a win, but I think that one's gonna be,
could go either way.
Yeah, it could go either way. For Columbus,
this is our first time seeing Columbus this season.
First time seeing Columbus. They are struggling as much as we probably thought they would be.
Mm-hmm.
One of their big players, Boone Jenner, is out on IR.
How's Monahan doing this season?
I'm looking that up right now.
So I know he's, obviously with some of the devastation that team faced in the offseason going in.
Monahan, I think, currently is he's got 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. He's second in points.
That's not a bad start.
There's it goes Marchenko, Monahan, Werenski.
Monahan is playing for something bigger right now. He's been a player that I've personally kind of kept an eye on this season so far, loosely, obviously, but enough so to where this is the one team where I can sit there and say, I'd love to see Sean Monahan succeed. I'd love to see something for him.
I will say, I think some Canes and Wolves fans will be glad to know. They'll see a familiar face, probably. Aston Reese is on the Blue Jackets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I am also calling this a win.
I think this is another scrape by for me.
I'm going to call this one a win, just because I'll be the one. You can say the scrape buys, and I understand it all. Like, this could all turn on a dime in any of these games. I just think the Canes recently, the games they have lost, again, they had 2 away games but they were mile high, crazy travel and just some weird plays. I think if it's an actual like normal game and they are on their game, I think the Canes win it. I think these games are on the Canes to lose. I think if the Canes play below what they've been playing, they will lose. But
the Hurricanes have a tendency to play down to opponents, though. And that's what I think worries me, especially against a team like Columbus, because they are a team where, yes, they are struggling. They're 8th in the Metro right now, but you give them an inch and they can take it and run with it.
I think that's what the Canes learned again. I think they've learned some from playing how they played the Blues. I think they've learned, and I think they learned from Utah. I think those are the type of games that they learn from. Or, else Rod makes them run until they throw up. Or skate till they throw up. So those are our predictions. Also want to say, we did let you know how you could watch the Philadelphia game. If you're also curious, Hurricane Helene keeps impacting things. The Canes vs. Lightning game that was originally scheduled for October 12th in Tampa has been rescheduled to January 7th. It splits up a 5-game homestand, which is kind of gross. But mark your calendars. You will have a game on January 7th for the Canes. Yep. It will be an away game still, because it was supposed to be in Tampa to start with. But mark your calendars to turn the TVs to that. Last but not least, we had some fun, exciting news. The PWHL has a takeover tour, and the Ottawa Charge and the Minnesota Frost, which their new jerseys just popped.
They not only just got actual names instead
they got jerseys.
He did
one very Taylor Swift inspired.
Yes.
But yeah, they will be in Raleigh on March 7th.
Yeah, they are traveling. They're still a team of 6, or a league of 6 teams. Expansions are in talks for next season, which is super exciting, to kind of see more female involvement and be able to kind of expand that women's league and see that grow and thrive, which it already has, and the amount of records they've broken is incredible. But to be able to bring women's hockey to places that aren't able to see it yet. They're heading to Lenovo Center. I was going to say they're heading also to Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. They're heading to Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Ball Arena in Denver. I am personally very excited for that game. They're heading to Videotron Center in Quebec City, KeyBank Center in Buffalo, Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, and Enterprise Center in St. Louis. So to sit here and see all of these markets who have not yet seen PWHL hockey is, my opinion, incredible.
I highly encourage going to see them, especially like the Canes have been super involved with youth hockey and especially girls hockey. So it's really great to see, again, in a city that's already thriving and continuing to grow in hockey, to have the PWHL come here and play. I really hope Raleigh turns out for it, because that's just amazing, like for anyone to see and experience.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that wraps up this episode of the Surgecast. You got a little bit of our predictions, a little bit of our thoughts on injuries and scratches. Thanks for sticking with us for another girls' night episode. I hope Zach feels better. But in the meantime, Bailey, where can they find you? Where can they find Zach?
I was going to say, I'll start with our missing co-host again. Hope Zach, you need to be back for next episode, but also feel better.
Stop using your voice for only Locked On. Okay, you got to come back. Even if you're just there nodding and taking our insults, you have to come back.
You forget that you have 2 podcasts, sir. No, go follow our wonderful co-host over at One True Zach. That is ONE True Zach. One is spelled out. Go follow him over on Instagram at ZachRMartin22. If you haven't already assumed or guessed or picked up on, he also does run a fun little podcast, Locked On Hurricanes, I believe. Go follow Locked On Hurricanes over on X at LO_Hurricanes. Your podcast every day. He's got lots of great content dropping for you over there. As far as I am concerned, you can follow me over on X at Bailey Curtis, and that is Bailey with 2 Y's. Follow me over on Instagram at Bailey Lynn Curtis. Unfortunately, Hurricanes hockey is not my only passion and love. I do cover the Colorado Avalanche and the Colorado Eagles with the hockey news. Be sure to keep an eye on my socials. I post articles and I live tweet for games. As I finally dropped, I will be attending the Hurricanes versus Avalanche game in December. Super excited to be covering that. So I would love to meet any and as many of you as I can while I am out there. As far as finding the podcast, you can find us over on X, Instagram, and YouTube at The Surgecast. On YouTube, it is The Surgecast. That's the name of our channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, hi, hello, how you doing? Be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below, like the video, and turn on that bell notification icon so you don't miss an episode. Be sure to also, again, leave a comment or two. Let us know what your thoughts on Martin Necas and the Heart conversation are. Let us know what you think about Aho's performance so far. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Or our goalie situations.
Or our goalie situation, that as well. Kat, where can the people find you and the network?
Yeah, so starting with the network, of course, the wonderful The Hockey Podcast Network.com. If you stuck around with us, you, of course, heard us sing their praises as they offer a wide variety of shows, not just for us, but if you do have a secondary team like Bailey does, the Avalanche, they do have other teams, tons of hockey podcasts for them as well. It's just a wide variety of characters, and we wouldn't be where we are today without them. They have been wonderful, even with our boss man Kyle coming in time to time for us to bash on his Calgary Flames.
We'll throw in too, there was an article that just dropped about our move over to Believe. So if you guys are interested in checking out that article, head over to the socials page over on X. I think it's HockeyPodNet on X.
Yeah,
but article, it's a great read if you guys are looking for it. Anyway, throw it back over to you.
But you're familiar when we call THPN, again, it's a lot of our discount codes with our sponsors. We are grateful for those sponsors because our THPN boss crew has been so great in getting those for us, and we are love to work with them and work with our sponsors. So again, all the big love and thanks in this Thanksgiving time of year to our wonderful podcast.
Nice.
For me, of course, same thing as always. You can find me on X, Twix, whatever you call it nowadays, at Kaniac. And you can find me on TikTok at KVT Hunter 74. Definitely starting to get back into that. And you'll see the unpaid intern on there from time to time making his debut.
We're waiting for his podcast debut. He does all of our ads. We're waiting for him to...
Yeah, if the voice on the ads are unpaid intern. So maybe when it comes to whenever we play the Blackhawks, might be able to grab him. I was
going to say, so he can sit and rage and flaunt over Bedard. So look out for that. But
for now, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Surgecast. We hope you have a wonderful week. You don't have to stay up quite as late for the games. But hopefully the Canes continue to be on their winning streak and we all continue to be super thankful this Thanksgiving season. But for now, I'm Kat.
I'm Bailey.
And we'll see you next time on the Surgecast.
Happy sleep, guys.
Gobble, gobble.